Some verses don't just speak. They reach in, they break you, they rebuild you. Not every scripture comes dressed in peace. Some come dressed in fire, the kind that burns off everything that's been holding you back. And today, I'm not just reading Bible verses, I'm handing you spiritual lifelines. These are the verses that changed everything for me. And if you're listening right now, I believe they're about to change everything for you too. So take a breath. Let your guard down. Don't just hear them, feel them. There's a kind of tired that doesn't go away with sleep, a kind of ache that doesn't show up in scans, a kind of heaviness that follows you through the day, sits with you at night, and wakes up before you do. Maybe you felt it, that slow, silent unraveling inside, where no one sees what's really going on beneath your surface, where you function, you perform, you smile, but something is quietly breaking under the weight of it all. And in that quiet breaking, something sacred happens, if you let it. Because it's in that space, in the silence between sobs, that Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10 walks into the room, like a gentle breath of God. Not loud, not forced, but steady. Fear not, for I am with you. Do you hear the weight of that? It's not a casual encouragement. It's not a religious phrase meant to decorate your wall. This is God speaking straight into the center of your chaos, straight into the wound you haven't told anyone about, straight into the place where fear has built a home inside your chest. Fear not. Not because there's nothing scary, but because you're not alone in it. That's the difference. That's the shift. That's where healing starts. Not when the storm ends, but when you realize who's in it with you. God doesn't just say, I'm near. He says, I am with you, present, personal, protective. It's not a concept, it's a covenant. He doesn't distance himself from your pain. He draws closer to it. When others step back, he steps in. When you're left holding broken pieces, he holds you. This is the kind of God who doesn't wait for you to get it together. He meets you in your mess, in your morning, in your midnight, and he doesn't just comfort, he strengthens. I will strengthen you, he says. Let that hit deep. Because some days, it's not about having the answers. It's about having the energy to keep going, to take one more step, to face one more morning. And if you're out of strength, good, because that's exactly where he steps in. When your strength fails, his begins. When your knees give out, he becomes your legs. When your hands tremble, his hands uphold you. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to pretend to be okay. You're allowed to fall because he's the kind of God who catches you every single time. And not just catches you, upholds you. Listen to that next part closely. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That's not weak support. That's the strength that spoke galaxies into being. That's the hand that parted seas, calmed storms, healed blind eyes, and carried a cross. That's the hand that holds your name. That's the hand that refuses to let go, even when you do. Some of you are clinging to God with everything you've got. And some of you, you're too exhausted to hold on anymore. But here's the truth. You don't have to. Because he's holding you. And his grip never slips. His grip never weakens. His grip never lets go of what he died to save. You might be walking through hell right now, but heaven is still holding your hand, and that matters more than you know. This is the verse you return to when everything else feels unstable, when people let you down, when plans fall apart, when anxiety creeps in late at night and sleep won't come. This is the anchor, not your feelings, not your performance, his promise that he is with you, that he will strengthen you, that he will help you, that he will uphold you. And maybe you don't need a big theological explanation right now. Maybe you don't need to be fixed. Maybe you just need to feel seen, held, reassured that the God who formed you hasn't forgotten you, that the God who called you hasn't changed his mind, that your pain didn't cancel his promises, that your tears haven't gone unnoticed. Every one of them is being caught, counted, remembered. So breathe, child of God. Let go of the fear that's been eating away at your peace. Let go of the lie that says you're alone in this. Let go of the pressure to hold yourself up when you're already exhausted. The God of Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10 is not far off. He is right here, and he is holding you together, even when you feel like you're falling apart. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know who holds you through it. And maybe that's the only thing you need to know today. Maybe that's enough. But if this word reached the deepest part of your storm, if it touched something inside you that's been aching in silence, don't scroll past it like it's just another post. Say something back to the God who just spoke to your soul. Type amen in the comments. Let it be your yes. Let it be your surrender. Let it be your reminder that you are not forgotten, not forsaken, not finished. You are held. Romans 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. There are some verses that comfort you and some that confront you. This one does both. Romans 8, verse 28 is not a light verse. It's not one you casually toss into conversation like a motivational quote. It's a verse you cling to when you're barely breathing. It's the kind of verse that comes alive when everything else feels dead. It's not for the sunny seasons. It's for the nights you lie awake with the storm inside you, wondering where God is and why life turned out like this. Because it doesn't say everything feels good. It says everything works for good. And those two are not the same. There's a deep, aching tension in that. Because sometimes the pain hits so hard, so suddenly, you don't want to hear any verses at all. You just want answers. You want peace. You want relief. You want God to explain why he let it happen, why the person left, why the door closed, why the doctor said what they said, why the prayers hit silence instead of heaven. And yet, this verse waits for you right there, in that ache. It doesn't come dressed in noise. It whispers into the wound. Even this I will use. Not just survive it. Not just recover from it. Not just move past it. But use it. Redeem it. Fold it into the eternal good that only a sovereign God can see while you're still sitting in the smoke of what burned. And if you're in that smoke right now, don't tune this out. Don't scroll past it. And because this word, it's not a bandage. It's a bridge. A bridge between the suffering you didn't choose and the purpose you haven't seen yet. God is not in heaven ignoring your pain. He's not looking away. He's not detached or indifferent. He sees what broke you. He heard what they said. He felt what it cost you just to get out of bed today. And here's what he's saying in Romans 8, verse 28. I'm still working, even when it looks like I'm not. Because let's be honest, faith isn't tested when life is working. Faith is tested when God is silent. Faith is tested when the doors stay shut. When the timeline you trusted collapses. When your strength runs out. And there's nothing left to hold on to but the memory of his promise. That's when Romans 8, verse 28 becomes your survival code. Your breath prayer, your anchor. It's not cute. It's not simple. It's sacred. Because the truth is, God doesn't operate on our schedules. He doesn't consult your comfort before he develops your character. He doesn't move according to your clock. He moves according to his purpose. And the pain you're feeling right now, it may be part of that purpose. No, God didn't cause the betrayal. He didn't create the heartbreak, but he'll use it. He'll take the very thing the enemy meant to destroy you, and he'll fold it into the masterpiece, because he doesn't just fix broken things. He rebuilds them better. He doesn't just give you your old life back. He gives you a new one with deeper roots. God does not waste wounds. Not yours, not ever. He repurposes them. He weaves them into the fabric of your testimony until the very thing that once made you weep becomes the story that sets someone else free. But you have to stay long enough to see it. You have to stay in the fire. Stay in the silence. Stay in the story long enough for the ashes to become beauty. That's what Romans 8 verse 28 is all about. It's not a shortcut. It's a sacred stretch of time where faith isn't just felt, it's forged. And maybe you're there right now. Maybe you're tired of holding it together. Maybe your smile is wearing thin. Maybe you've prayed the same thing for so long your hope feels numb. But hear me, this is not the end. This is mid-sentence. The author hasn't finished writing. And if you love God, if you're still holding on to Him, even by a thread, He's still weaving, still writing, still working. Not around your pain, through it, because sometimes it's the very thing that broke your heart that ends up unlocking your calling. Sometimes it's the deepest wound that leads to the strongest ministry. Sometimes it's the season that made you question everything. That ends up introducing you to the real God, not the one religion taught you, but the one who holds you when everything else collapses. This kind of faith, it's not glamorous, it's not loud, it's quiet, it's raw. It's made in hospital rooms, in courtrooms, in the middle of breakdowns and anxiety attacks and funerals and messy living rooms where you're wondering if anyone sees you, but God does. And right now, He's saying this: if you love me, I will use even this. To hold on even if your grip is weak. Rest even if your body still shakes. Breathe even if your chest is heavy. God isn't waiting for you to be strong. He is your strength. Romans 8 verse 28 is the assurance that there's meaning in the mess, that there's order in the chaos, that your breakdown is not your burial. It's the beginning of your becoming. So don't quit here. Don't stop believing. Don't throw away the verse that will carry you through this valley. Even now, it's working. Even now, it's shifting. Even now, heaven is building something behind the scenes. And when the time is right, you'll look back at what almost broke you and see that God was building you. You'll see that Romans 8 verse 28 wasn't a cliche. It was your confirmation. He really did work all things together. He really did stay faithful. He really did keep His word. And all you had to do was keep breathing, keep loving Him, and stay in the story, because it's not over. Not yet. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34 verse 18. Some verses don't shout, they whisper, not because they're weak, but because they were written for people who are too tired to hear anything louder. People who've cried so hard that even hope feels like a memory. People who don't just need answers, they need presence. Maybe that's you right now. Maybe this isn't just a verse on a page. Maybe this is the only thing keeping you from falling apart completely. Because when you're truly brokenhearted, nothing feels real anymore. You wake up, and everything feels heavy before your feet even touch the floor. You sit in silence, not because you don't have anything to say, but because you no longer have the strength to say it. Your prayers become shorter, simpler, until one day your prayer is just a sigh, a tear, a look toward heaven that says, I have nothing left. That's when this verse finds you. The Lord is close, not to the strong, not to the proud, not to the people with perfect Sunday smiles. He's close to the brokenhearted, the ones who have nothing left to prove, the ones whose hearts feel shattered into 1,000 pieces, scattered across the days, the years, the regrets, the wounds that never healed right, the ones who still show up even when it hurts, still breathing, still trying, still hoping for something, anything to change. And He doesn't wait for you to pull yourself together. He comes as you are, in the mess, in the heartbreak, in the deep, gutted ache that no one else knows you're carrying. He doesn't need your filter. He doesn't need your performance. He just wants you, even if all that's left of you right now is pieces. Sometimes, when you're that broken, you wonder if even God gets tired of you, if He's disappointed, if your repeated heartbreak is exhausting to Him. But Psalm 34 verse 18 says no. He draws closer. He doesn't distance Himself. He moves toward you, and not with a checklist, not with judgment, but with a tenderness that knows how to hold what this world dropped. He saves the crushed in spirit, not scolds them, not ignores them. He saves them. And that word, crushed, is so accurate, isn't it? Because that's exactly how it feels. Not just bruised, not just hurt, crushed, like the weight of everything you carried finally collapsed in on you, like life sat on your chest and took your breath and didn't care if you ever got it back. Crushed under betrayal, crushed under disappointment, crushed under the slow, invisible grief of waiting for a breakthrough that still hasn't come. But God is not intimidated by crushed. He's not afraid of your questions. He's not uncomfortable with your pain. He walks into the places other people avoid. The quiet breakdowns, the silent dinners, the hollow smiles you give when someone asks, "How are you?" and you say, "I'm okay," because it's easier than telling the truth. And still, He comes closer. He doesn't require your best. He's not after your perfection. He's after your heart, even if it's broken, especially if it's broken, because in God's hands, brokenness isn't failure. It's the beginning of something holy. It's where grace has room to move. It's where healing begins, not instantly, not all at once, but steadily. There's a reason the Bible doesn't say the Lord is close to the cheerful or the confident, because those moments are easy. But heartbreak is sacred ground, because in that space, all the walls fall. And what's left is the real you, the one God has been waiting to hold, not fix, not rush, not scold, hold. So don't rush this season. Don't feel like you need to climb out of it faster than you're ready. There is a purpose in the breaking. There is mercy in the middle. You may not see it yet, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Sometimes God does His greatest work not when we stand tall, but when we kneel low. Not when we fight harder, but when we finally say, "I can't do this alone anymore." And friend, you don't have to. You were never meant to carry it all. You were never created to handle heartbreak without healing. God designed you to need Him. And when you finally stop running, stop hiding, stop pretending you're fine, that's when healing begins. Not with noise, not with fireworks, but with presence, quiet, holy, constant. Psalm 34 verse 18 isn't a verse to memorize and move on. It's a verse to live in, to rest in, to let soak into the rawest places of your soul. It's a place to exhale, a place to cry, a place to believe, maybe for the first time in a while, that God hasn't given up on you. And if you're wondering, how do I know He's close? The answer is simple, because you're still here. If He had left you, you wouldn't have made it this far. The fact that you're breathing, reading this, still holding on even if by a thread, that is proof of His nearness. His mercy held you together when everything else fell apart. And He's not done yet. There is more to your story. There is beauty after this brokenness. There is strength coming from the pain. And the same God who is near today will still be near tomorrow. When you rise, when you cry, when you break again and need Him again, He will still be close. So if this message touched a place in your heart you've been trying to hide, don't keep hiding. Whisper, "Amen." Say it like a quiet agreement between you and heaven. And if you're walking through something personal, don't do it alone. Drop a comment and I'll do my best to stand with you in prayer. Because you are not forgotten, you are not invisible, and you are not alone. Psalm 34 verse 18 is still true, and God is still close. Maybe you've been quietly breaking, not all at once, but slowly, day by day, disappointment by disappointment, smile by fake smile. Maybe you've been carrying the weight of invisible pain, the kind that doesn't show up in test results or on social media, but still wakes you up at 2 a.m. wondering if you're even worth the breath in your lungs. Maybe you've been replaying memories like their verdicts, moments you wish you could undo, decisions that haunt you when everything else goes silent. And maybe you've started believing that because it didn't work out like you hoped, because people walked away, because life didn't follow your timeline, that somehow God walked away too. But let me stop that thought right there. Let me interrupt the lie with the truth, because there's a verse that still breathes, still speaks, still pulls people out of dark pits and silent seasons. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Read that again, not casually. Let it hit. Let it disrupt the fear. For I know, not I'm figuring it out, not we'll see how it goes, not I'll come up with something if you perform well. No, He knows. And that knowing didn't begin after you cleaned yourself up. It didn't wait until you started praying again. It was written before your first breath, before your first heartbreak, before your first sin, before the failure, the fear, the fall. He already knew. And He still said yes to your future. You see, we think that broken means unusable, that delay means denial, that struggle means we've stepped outside of God's will. But what if the struggle is the soil? What if the brokenness is the place He builds from? What if the delay is where He deepens your roots so the weight of your calling doesn't crush you later? God isn't interested in a shortcut to success. He's after something deeper, something holy, something eternal. And that's what this verse is about. It's not a slogan. It's not a pretty Pinterest quote to slap on your fridge. It's a divine interruption, a heavenly memo to the weary, the lost, the messed up and misunderstood. I still have a plan for you. So yes, you may feel lost right now. You may be sitting in the middle of a life you didn't ask for, praying prayers that feel like they go unanswered. But can I tell you something? He's still listening. He's still moving. And the silence, it's not abandonment, it's preparation. It's the hush before the healing. It's the pause before the breakthrough. It's the quiet work of a God who doesn't rush. Masterpieces. Because you're not forgotten, you're not a failure, you're not behind, you're being prepared. And preparation often feels like punishment when we don't understand the process. But He's not punishing you, He's protecting the promise. You can't carry what you've been called to until your heart is healed enough to hold it without it destroying you. So if it feels like you've been sitting in the dark, trust this. God grows things in the dark. Seeds don't bloom in the spotlight, they break in the soil. So if you're broken, good. You're in the right place for a resurrection. Let me say it again for the part of you that's still doubting. Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 is your reminder that you don't have to know the details to trust the direction. You don't have to fix everything to be worthy of forward movement. You don't have to feel strong to be in His hands. You just have to stay close. Just stay. Even if it's with tears in your eyes and shaking in your soul, stay, because the plan is still active. The promise is still valid. The pain is still being used. And you know what else? God doesn't need perfect conditions to move. He doesn't need agreement from others to bless you. He doesn't need your resume. He doesn't need your record clean. He just needs your surrender. And maybe that's what this season is about. Not about proving anything to anyone, but learning how to trust Him when there's nothing left to trust but His word. So don't give up. Don't sit in this silence and assume it means He's done. He's not done. He's never been more present than He is right now. And if you can't feel him, just remember, seeds don't feel the sun while they're buried. But the sun is still there, and the plan is still growing. You are not too far. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are loved. You are held. You are still written into the story. So breathe. Let the shame go. Let the timeline go. Let the opinions go. Because God's plan is not fragile. It's not based on popular vote. It's not subject to the storms you've been through. It's rooted in his nature, and his nature is faithful. If this hit you deep, don't scroll past it. Say it out loud. I still believe. Drop an amen in the comments, not for views, but for your soul. And share it with someone whose heart is starting to forget what hope sounds like. Because this isn't over. This is where it begins again. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. That's not just a verse. That's your revival. There are moments in this life when you're not just tired, you're done. Not physically, spiritually. When your soul feels bruised, your heart heavy, and your strength drained from trying to keep it all together. It's in those quiet breakdowns behind closed doors, when the weight is too much and the silence too loud, that we begin to believe the lie. Maybe I'm too weak for this. Maybe I've failed God one too many times. And you sit there, unsure if your next breath even matters. You scroll through your past and wonder how you even made it this far, and if you're strong enough to keep going. And that's when the word shows up, not like a spotlight, but like a whisper in the dark. Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. You hear that? Weakness. The very thing we try to hide. The very part of us we believe disqualifies us. The brokenness we bury so deep, not even our closest friends see it. That's the place he speaks into. That's where he meets us. Not when we've cleaned up, not when we're victorious, but right there. In the mess, in the mourning, in the moments where we feel like we're falling apart. Because his grace isn't a reward for the strong. It's a refuge for the weary, a sanctuary for the shattered. It doesn't stand at a distance demanding perfection. It walks straight into the chaos, sits beside us in our shame, and holds us until we can breathe again. It doesn't demand healing before it helps. It is the help. It's the love that shows up when no one else does. It's the hand you can't see but somehow feel, steadying your heart when your faith starts to slip. Maybe you've been told your weakness is a flaw, that your emotions make you fragile, that crying means you're weak. But in God's eyes, weakness is not a liability, it's a doorway, a divine entry point for power. Because when you come to the end of you, that's where he begins. His power isn't a supplement to your effort. It's the strength that takes over when yours runs out. Let that sink in. His power is made perfect in weakness, not in performance, not in pretending, not in Sunday best or rehearsed prayers, but in the honesty of a broken soul that whispers, God, I can't do this without you. And heaven doesn't flinch when you say that. It draws near, not to fix you like a machine, but to love you like a father. To remind you that grace doesn't just cover your mistakes, it empowers your call. You were never meant to carry it all alone. And maybe that's the reason everything feels so heavy, because you've been trying to hold things that were never yours to hold. The expectations, the guilt, the fear of falling apart in front of people who expect you to be okay. But God doesn't need your polished version. He wants the real one, the torn one, the version of you that's on the floor with tear-stained cheeks and a heart that's just trying to keep beating. Because that version, that's the one he already chose. That's the one he already died for. That's the one he says, my grace is sufficient for you. Not just for the you that preaches, not just for the you that smiles, but for the you that doubts, the you that feels forgotten, the you that's too tired to pray and too numb to care. Listen, there's nothing about your story that disqualifies you from his presence. Nothing you've done, nothing you've lost, nothing you've broken. In fact, the brokenness is the very place where His power fits perfectly. It's the cracks that let the light pour in. It's the scars that carry the evidence. You survived. So stop believing the lie that you have to fake strength to be loved. You don't. You never did. God's not looking for performers. He's looking for surrender. And surrender doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to let go. Wise enough to say, God, I'm tired. Help me. And when you do, power flows in. Not the kind that makes headlines. The kind that holds your heart steady in the storm. The kind that whispers in your darkest night, I'm still here. This is not the end of you. You're not disqualified. You're not disowned. You're not too messy for a miracle. You are still the one He calls. Still the one He carries. Still the one He's not giving up on. And if all you have today is tears and silence, that's still enough. Because grace is sufficient. And His power, it's waiting. Right there in your weakness. So breathe. You don't need all the answers. Just one truth. God is enough for this moment. His love is not on hold. His mercy has not run out. And if your strength fails tomorrow, His grace will still be new. Every morning, every moment, every breath. You may not feel strong right now, but friend, you are still standing. And sometimes, that alone is the testimony. Not the victory, not the triumph, but the quiet, weary, trembling stand of a soul that says, I'm still here, and I'm still His. So today, don't fight to be impressive. Rest in the truth that you're already enough in Him, not because of your strength, but because His power is made perfect in your weakness. And if that touched something inside you, don't scroble. Let it settle. Let it speak. And if you're ready to stop pretending and start healing, comment, Amen. Let grace catch you. Let love lift you. Because you were never meant to carry this alone. Before you go, take a moment. Just breathe. Because what you just heard wasn't random. It wasn't by accident. It was divine timing. And if your heart felt even a flicker of peace, a moment of clarity, a breath of hope, then that's God whispering, stay close. Subscribe now, not for numbers, not for trends, but because your soul deserves to be reminded that you are not forgotten, that even in silence God is speaking, that these verses, they're not just words, they are weapons for battle. They are balm for wounds the world can't see. They are God's way of saying, I'm right here. Every video on this channel is built for hearts like yours. The tired ones. The ones that smile on the outside but are breaking quietly inside. The ones who are still trying to believe, even when it hurts. So don't miss what's coming. Because the next message, it might be the one that brings the breakthrough. The one that silences the storm. The one that reminds you who you are, and whose you are. Someone needs to hear it. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is you. So hit that subscribe button. Stay close. Let these messages walk with you, pray with you, cry with you, and rise with you. Jesus isn't just content. It's a calling, a lifeline. It's hope delivered in verses, one video at a time.